Yo, what's good, y'all? Your boy Justin Henry here. We back, baby. Talking all the sleepers and busts. We got a lot to talk about. Obviously, the NFL draft has happened. We've had the majority of fantasy football free agency has happened. So for us, it's time to look at some early rankings. Best ball drafts are happening right now. So if you're ready for some fantasy football talk, I got y'all covered. We still got the old intro I'm about to drop. Y'all already know what it is. Justin Henry Show, Dubs in the chat, baby. And I'm going to tell you this. You ain't got to agree with everything I say. Just remember that I said it. All right? Just remember that. Justin Henry Show, where champs begin. Never fall off, only lock in. Draft day to Sunday night. Advice on point, cashing everything inside. Welcome to the show. Winners get they shine on. Breaking down plays, fantasy, my mind on. Remember to spin it back. Know to start a show with W's in the chat. Never settling for less, always raise the bar. Don't take offense, call your favorite try hard. NEL taking turn to life lessons. All about a buck in here like Mike Evans. Bijan with the big games, ain't no fumble. Underrated like Kamara. Still humble. Daily show beast mode every single week. About to change the game. AR-15. Justin Henry Show where champs begin. Never fall off. Only lock in. Draft day to Sunday night. Advice on point. Cashing everything inside. Welcome to the show where winners get they shine on. Breaking down plays. Fantasy my mind on. Remember to spin it back. Know to start a show with W's in the chat. Is good. What is good? It is good to be back. Good to see the chat active, man. Yo, shout out to Gabe. What's good, bro? Adam, my guy, what's good? He said, "What's up, Jay Hands? Been a minute. How you been?" I have been great. Busy as hell, bro. But putting together some shit that hopefully y'all can enjoy for this entire season. So it's been too long, and football still ain't back till after summer. You know what? We got a lot to catch up on. And last year I did like the team reviews. I'm not doing that this year. This time I'm just going to get more into the players and try to get to the questions that you guys have. So that way we're not waiting until June in order to get to that point. We can do mock drafts in June. We're going to get this shit up a little quicker this year. Last year, I spent a lot of time last year going over every single team. It was like 30 days. And I don't know. I know that there was a lot of people who benefited from it. But I think just player talk in general might be enough this year. If y'all want some more detailed stuff, let me know. But I got a lot that I'm working on right now. So football still ain't back. We got the schedule release coming out next week, I want to say. So we'll be able to go over the schedules, talk about, the matchups we like, look at strength of schedule. But for the most part, man, we got a lot of time to dial in. I already been looking at the ADPs, bro. The ADP is crazy right now. Let's go, Dad. Fantasy Dad is here, man. What's good, Oof? Q, what's good, bro? He said, Jay Hen the GOAT, man. We got a lot to catch up on, y'all. A lot to catch up on. Texas T in the building. What's good? Actually drafting rookies right now. I needed this. Good. So I want to be able to answer any dynasty questions. I don't have a lot that I just want to go over. Obviously, I'll talk about whatever rookies you got. So feel free to load the chat with questions. If you're normally on TikTok, I will be starting to do my TikTok stuff in about a week or so. I want to get the page up and going again. I'm going to use some of this content. So if you got a question, drop it in there right now. Dynasty questions for this first little 10, 15 minutes. I want to get to those. If you got rookies that you're looking at, I've already done one of my rookie mocks, one of my rookie drafts for my Dynasty League. So I'll give you some insight on how I'm feeling, especially with some of these landing spots. To see Ashton Jeanty go to the Raiders, it's really good. I'm concerned a little bit about his fantasy value, like redraft. I'll talk about that in a minute. But, yeah, man, I think it's a perfect landing spot for him in Dynasty. I really like it. There's a couple guys I think are sneaky. Like Jalen Monroe is somebody I picked up in the second round of my Dynasty draft. So if you got Dynasty questions, throw them in the chat. Yo, Jan, how we rocking? Hope the fam is all good. Everything smooth. Yes, everything is great. And I'm putting on an event. I don't know if you guys have seen it down at the bottom, Fantasy Football Training Camp. Make sure y'all get your tickets for that. If you're part of the J-Hen crew, and when you go to buy your ticket, put J-Hen, it'll give you $10 off. It includes a draft guide too. So the event's going to be in August. We're going to have speakers there, a chance to interact. A lot of shit's coming with it. So if you want to get your early tickets, go ahead. I'm going to try to give out a few tickets right now here on the show too.
I'm gonna do a little random giveaway probably at the end of the show to whoever's there. So I'm gonna give away probably two tickets. So we'll see. Everything else is good though, bro. Everything good, man. Got a feeling this season gonna be crazy. A lot of moves at the wide receiver position. Yes, a lot of moves at the wide receiver position. Seeing like Devontae Adams go to the Rams. You see Cooper Kupp go to the Seahawks. You see some of these vets are still out there too. Like Keenan Allen is still out there. Amari Cooper is still out there. So a lot that still remain to be seen what this thing even looks like. We got some rookies that are going to make an impact. Ted McMillan in Carolina. We got obviously Travis Hunter going to the Jags. So there's a lot that still remains to be seen when it comes to like these positions and kind of these hierarchies, right? Like obviously even like Tampa Bay got Puka, right? Puka, and I think that was a move for them in real football that'll translate. But I think in fantasy, it's just going to create a little bit of a logjam. So there's been some offensive coordinator changes, head coaching changes. Like there's a ton to get into. I want to start peeling back a little bit of the layers right now for some of the rookies. I want to talk about them where I think they have some good landing spots, some bad landing spots. And then I'll get into, I have 5 sleepers and 5 busts that I'm going to talk about today. And then we can answer like redraft questions towards the end. All right. Jahan, is the Steelers offense capped by not making a real moves at quarterback, and who do you expect to bring the most value to Pickens and DK? So I think right now, Aaron Rodgers, it seems to be like that's why you don't draft a rookie. Like you don't go get Shedeur, even in like the 3rd, 4th, 5th round. You get Will Howard, who obviously I think is going to be good, but will be better as a backup and to learn from a guy, Aaron Rodgers, who I think is going to be the Steelers quarterback. You don't go make the move to go get DK Metcalf. You draft a rookie running back. All the telltale, you don't trade away George Pickens, who has had a lot, like, you know what I'm saying, like a lot of issues. I think you do this with the intent that you're trying to win a Super Bowl. You're trying to win in the playoffs. So I don't think they're capped right now. Now, if you ask me this in 2 months from now, maybe we have a different conversation. All right. Dynasty questions. I did say that, and then we'll get to some of the sleepers here. If the dynasty questions don't come in as far as like long-term stuff. Any rookies that you guys have? There's some backfields that are going to be changing. I'll get into a couple rookies if I don't see any questions coming in. But first one is I got Travis Hunter at the 104. Great job there. Travis Hunter is going to be elite. Paired up with Trevor Lawrence on the opposite of Brian Thomas. A very good setup for Travis Hunter here. And the reports out there are that he's going to play a little bit more on the offensive side than the defensive side, at least to start his career. And I think paired up with Liam Cohen, Trevor Lawrence, who I think is going to take a major ascension this year. We talked about it over the last couple of years, but it feels like with this setup, we can see Trevor Lawrence probably walking into his best season with a quarterback guru, with a very friendly offense, and now with 2 elite young receivers that he's paired with for the foreseeable future. So I think getting Hunter at 104 for you is a massive win. And I think Travis Hunter, the first year is probably going to be more up and down as a wide receiver 3. I think he's going to probably transition to a riskier like wide receiver 2 as time goes on. But I think early on, you're going to see some inconsistency out of Travis Hunter. And he'll have some big games, obviously some smaller games too. But he's going right now like the wide receiver 4 conversation where I think there's really good value for Travis Hunter. I think once it starts to peak up closer to the season, we're going to see more wide receiver 3 value. But for now, I think you did really good. I'm curious who went first. Jeanty, was it Cam Ward? And then who went before Hunter? Marion Hampton? I don't know how you got Hunter at the 4. Your next pick, though, you said Matthew Golden or Luther Burden. And I think Matthew Golden is going to be a very good real-life prospect. And I do have a concern with Luther Burden as well. I think in PPR leagues, I'd rather have Luther Burden. I think he's going to assume a little bit more of the workload. Him and Odunze kind of seem to be the guys that are going to lead the future here with Caleb Williams. And as Caleb Williams grows into a better player, we're going to see Luther Burden be used all in the offense, right? He kind of has that Randall Cobbish type of offense in his game where they'll use him behind the line of scrimmage, get him in some quick actions. But I think Luther Burden, if I was going for like that Keenan Allen replacement, somebody that could be, kind of a chain mover for this team, I think Burden fits that role really well. And we might see, he kind of reminds me a little bit of DJ Moore. And I think DJ Moore's getting older. They'll probably move off of him in a couple of years. It feels like Luther Burden would take over some of that. I like Matthew Golden a lot. And I think the speed is there. I like his route running too. But he kind of fits what Green Bay does in general. Like I feel like they have Jaden Reed, Christian Watson, Romeo Dobbs, Dontavian Wicks. So they have a lot of like technician or speed. And I think Matthew Golden just kind of fits to be another piece in that offense, at least for this year, right? So I don't know that I like Golden in the future. I think he's a good player, and they obviously take a receiver in the first round that you're trying to link up with for the foreseeable future. But I'd rather have Luther Burden. I think Golden has way more upside, right? So if you're looking for the upside pick, the Jameson Williams type guy, like the player that has upside on a weekly basis, the Chris Olave, that's the kind of player that Golden is. I feel like Burden is just a little bit safer, especially paired with Caleb Williams. And that, the weather gets kind of crazy late in the year. I'd rather have Luther Burden than Matthew Golden at this point. If you take Golden, I'm not mad at you. And I think that's the reason for the debate. But I'll take Burden over Golden. I think long-term, you have a safer floor with Burden. Yo, was thinking about Bashal Tootin or Trey Harris as well. Everybody loves Trey Harris in that Chargers offense, and I think he'll be a good fit there. I think I'd stay away from Bashal Tootin right now. I like Travis Etienne still. And I think Travis Etienne is going way too low in drafts right now. Currently, Travis Etienne is the RB31. And I think there's this talk about them mixing in running backs and using multiple backs, and that there's been an offensive coordinator change now. And they drafted, 2 or 3 running backs this year in the draft. So I think the Jaguars, although they'll talk a big talk about splitting work, and we looked at what they did with Bucky Irving and Rachaad White last year, you already got 2 backs that are established in Tank Bigsby and Travis Etienne. Adding Bashal Tootin is obviously going to give you like a little bit more explosiveness, but I'd rather have Trey Harris. So I think Trey Harris is set up in that Harbaugh offense, even though it's a ground scheme. They're heavy on the ground in the running game. I think that Trey Harris is the kind of player that you'd want to be attached to. And I kind of think this thing's like Ladd McConkey might be faltering a little bit more than we think this year. I know. I think Ladd he's a good receiver. I just don't know if I want to take him out like wide receiver 12, which is, that's where he's going right now. It's wide receiver 12, which I think is crazy. Jeanty, Ward, and then Hampton. Okay, yeah, you got lucky with that, bro. With Travis, I think Travis is worthy of the number 2 pick. I think he's right behind Jeanty. I think Travis Hunter should be going in PPR leagues, especially should be going right behind Jeanty. How do you feel about CMC? Is he worth a first-round pick? I still have a lot of concerns about Christian McCaffrey, and normally I err on the side of like, hey, you've been a veteran, you've produced in the league. Normally, I'm a go with Christian McCaffrey as like, yo, you're getting a top player for the low. But Christian McCaffrey going a little higher than I want right now. And I think that there's too much risk at the running back position. He's the RB5. There's a lot of risk built in with Christian McCaffrey. I know the upside's there, but for your first pick, I think you can do better, right? Like if you're going to take a running back, you can get Bijan, Saquon, even guys like, I think he's closer to Ashton Jeanty than he is to like Saquon Barkley as far as like the ceiling floor type thing, right? Like Jeanty's floor is probably higher, his ceiling's lower. But I think just the world of outcomes of CMC and that Achilles or whatever he was dealing with last year is just a little too, the range of outcomes is just like the floor is so low that I think it doesn't really help out his value. I would not be taking CMC with the first pick. If he fell to me in the second round, now we're having a conversation. But I think I'd rather probably just get a receiver. I don't know. I haven't done enough drafts yet to kind of see where he falls, but he's probably in the second round right now. And I'd be looking, I'd probably be looking to pass unless I got him like mid to late second. See y'all grinding the college grind, man. Good things. You know what I'm saying? Good to hear good things for y'all, man. And hopefully y'all finish out the year strong. I know senioritis for some and the end of the year for a lot of others, but it's ramp up time for fantasy. So I'm going to be on my grind, putting out more content. Make sure y'all follow the Fantasy Football Training Camp page. And like I said, if y'all want a ticket, down below there's tickets. Y'all can purchase them, but I'll be giving them out here over the next couple of weeks. So for the loyalists, if you want to wait, I'll probably be handing out a few, over the next couple of weeks. So what's the strat for this year? Draft running backs or wide receiver first? Thanks, Father Jahan. You know what? I'll tell you this. It's tough right now because ADPs are going to go all over the place, right? It feels like there's a really good balance between first-round running backs and first-round receivers, right? Like you got Jamar Chase, you got Saquon Barkley, you got Jahmyr Gibbs, you got Justin Jefferson, you got Bijan Robinson, you got CeeDee Lamb. Like, there's a lot of different ways that you could go about it. And to be honest, normally it flip-flops, right? Like, you're going to find, like last year we found value at the running back position. My guess is that we're going to find a lot of value at the wide receiver position, right? Especially with some names that we've seen in the past. Cooper Kupp is going around like wide receiver 45. Michael Pittman's going around wide receiver 40-something. Like, we're going to see some names down there that I think like Jerry Jeudy's even like the wide receiver 20-something, 25 or 28 types range. I don't know exactly where he's at. But I think we're going to see a lot of value at the wide receiver position this year. And I think a lot of people are going to be taking running back early. Another position I think we'll find a lot of value with is tight end. People have been getting burned a lot by the tight end position. So I think we'll see that start to come down. Quarterbacks are going to be at a premium. Like, we saw Jaden Daniels really play well last year. Josh Allen played well last year. Lamar played well last year. So I think we will see a premium on the quarterback position, especially some of the younger quarterbacks. I don't know that we'll be able to like get Jaden Daniels type play at the back end of the draft this year. Like, there's one quarterback I really like. I'll talk about him as like an early sleeper. There's one quarterback I really like that's going outside of the top 12 quarterbacks. But I think this year the value is probably going to be like mid-tier wide receiver. You're going to see me load up on like the J-Hand guys in probably the 4th through 8th rounds and just power through the receivers. One anchor receiver, and then I'll probably get like 2 or 3 running backs early. I might reach on tight end this year because Travis Kelce is the tight end 9. According to the rankings right now, tight end 9, which is wild. All right. And then last one before I get into my sleepers. Yo, Jay, is there one team coming out of the draft that you think is scary? I think the Ravens. The Ravens loaded up. I forget his name. They got that defensive end. I think overall getting DeAndre Hopkins too is kind of sneaky, just like how they got Derrick Henry last year. I think getting DeAndre Hopkins was a very sneaky move for this Baltimore Ravens team, who already has enough weapons. So I think I think the Ravens are gearing up. They're tired of losing at the very end. And I think this Ravens team might, with another year under their belt, another year with Derrick Henry, is going to be a scary fucking team. So I like the Ravens coming out of the draft, and I don't know how teams are letting first-round guys slide to them. Outside of that, I think that Bucks offense got a lot better. It's going to be a lot better. I can't think of anybody else off the top of my head that just got scary. The Ravens and the Eagles, obviously, the Eagles continue to dominate, but I think the Ravens. Those are the two teams I'm looking. I mean, obviously, that's front runner RS, but what about Mason Taylor? Yes, I actually drafted Mason Taylor. So I drafted Jalen Monroe. I drafted Mason Taylor as well. Those were back-to-back. I had back-to-back picks at the end of the second round. I took him at the end of the second round because I think for Justin Fields, you think about what Cole Kmet was with the Bears, and you think about what Sam Laporta was for the Lions. The passing game coordinator from the Lions is now the offensive coordinator for the Jets. Aaron Glenn is the coach, obviously. So I think Mason Taylor, and the only player he has to beat out is Stone Smart, really. Tyler Conklin's gone. He's on the Chargers now. So Stone Smart, who came from the Chargers, is now the tight end there. I think Mason Taylor can beat him out. It's a good second-round pick, big body. And I don't think he's as far off from Colston Loveland and Tyler Warren as everybody thinks. I think Mason Taylor provides a big body. He's a receiving type player. And, he may not be a top 5 tight end type player, but he could be a tight end 1, a top 5 to 10-ish top tight end in about 2-3 years. So I don't know if he surprises anybody this season. I don't know if he's going to be on redraft rosters. It wouldn't shock me, but I don't know if he's going to be on redraft rosters this year. But I think he will see playing time. And as long as he can block, I can see Mason Taylor having a role. So they're going to need another receiving threat with Devontae Adams gone. I think it's just Lazard and obviously Garrett Wilson. I'm trying to think Malachi Corley, right? And so you have a nice setup there. It's just you kind of need another receiving threat, a big body receiving threat, and Mason Taylor fills that role really well. So if you need a tight end and he can fall to you in this back into the second, top of the third, I like the pick. All right, let me get into some of these sleepers, all right? Y'all can drop your thoughts on the sleepers I got. We're going to start out, and you know what? It's weird because, like, I try not to have the same names on my list, but I end up with, like, a lot of the same names. Y'all can help me out, bro, because I don't know. I don't know why I get like this, but I find value, and I love value more than anything. That's where we're going to start. First sleeper I got. We got to talk about this again. Y'all could boo me in the chat, whatever y'all gotta do. But Anthony Richardson at QB 26 is a massive sleeper. Now the Colts brought in Daniel Jones, and I get it. Like Daniel Jones, obviously, and to be honest, this could be a slash. This could be slash Daniel Jones, and I wouldn't be mad at you. So if you hate Anthony Richardson or he burned you last year, slash Daniel Jones. This is a good landing spot right now. This is a good place for either quarterback. Right? They both use their legs. Both of them are plummeting down draft ratings, not even top 25 options at the quarterback position. And if Richardson stays healthy and focused like it looked like he was towards the end of last season, this QB 26 is a free high-end QB2 at worst. Daniel Jones, when healthy, when he had weapons around him, was a top 20 quarterback. The problem with him is that A, they had no weapons. B, he was just a year removed from the ACL injury. And with Anthony Richardson coming into he just had a lot of distractions, a lot of things where he couldn't stay healthy and off the field stuff. Now, on a points per game basis, Anthony Richardson is already a top 15 quarterback, and Daniel Jones is a top 20 quarterback. So either way you decide to go with this, I like getting Anthony Richardson. I think the upside's there. They went and got Tyler Warren in the draft to get him another safety valve. Another thing, Michael Pittman was hurt last year. He was dealing with a back injury. And I think sometimes that goes unnoticed. When you lose a key piece of your offense or it's significantly hurt, that also affects things. Jonathan Taylor was out for a portion of the year last year. So you mix up injuries with inconsistent play, with bad quarterback play from Anthony Richardson. I'm not saying he wasn't throwing the ball well. You take another year in this offense, another year to grow as a player. Anthony Richardson, I think if he plays at least 15 games, we're talking about a top 15 quarterback. I don't see a world where that doesn't happen. So for me, I like Anthony Richardson down here. And like I said, Daniel Jones, outside of the top 20 quarterbacks, I'm taking that as well. Pittman, A.D. Mitchell on another year, Donnie Mitchell on another year. You got Alec Pierce, who really had a lot of development last year. And if JT can stay hurt, Jonathan Taylor, the ground game gets better. I don't think this is like the greatest offense in the world, but I think Shane Steichen can do much worse with the offense that he has. In another year in the offense, everybody getting better. Like I said, adding a premier tight end pass catcher. There's a lot of wins here, I think, for Anthony Richardson. How y'all feel about Anthony Richardson? How y'all feel about it? Let me know how you feel about Anthony Richardson. Next up, Rome Odunze. Now, I talked about Luther Burden a little bit earlier, but I think Rome Odunze is probably going to be a value in drafts. Nobody's going to want to touch Rome Odunze, and this might be the season where we see a changing of the guard at the receiver position. I know DJ Moore has been elite. I know he's been elite, and I know he's been a really good piece for Caleb Williams. But now another year, this is Ben Johnson's offense now, so we are getting a coaching change. They went and got Luther Burden in the draft to play that Amon-Ra St. Brown role, right? Amon-Ra St. Brown role. But I think Rome Odunze is also going to see an increase in production. And I think this wide receiver 33 position, by the time we get to the drafts, is probably going to be like wide receiver 40. Somewhere in that 35 to 45 range. I think he's going to be a value, and I think he should be a top 30 commodity at the wide receiver position. We saw him come on really strong last year, and as he and Caleb Williams started to develop a little bit more, we saw him have some bigger games down the stretch. I think DJ Moore provides that upside, some of those bigger plays. Same thing with Luther Burden. I think he provides that safety valve. But Keenan Allen is gone from the team. He's no longer part of this organization, and that was another player who was taking targets away from Odunze. So for me, I think he's going to be a player that will probably be able to get as like a wide receiver 4, maybe even a wide receiver 5 on some stronger teams. And he'll provide massive upside this season for those who draft him. So I think Rome Odunze is he's not the player I'd want to reach on. But I think by the time we get to drafts, if you can get him at the wide receiver, like as your wide receiver 4, you're gonna have a crazy amount of upside with that kind of pick, especially with some of the receivers that are going after. Like, I'm not going to talk about him today, but you compare him with like the Pittmans and the Cooper Kupps of the world, the veterans that have the similar upside, but are maybe a declining value. I think you compare that with Rome Odunze and have a really strong back end of the roster. So we'll talk about roster construction at some point here down the line. But Rome Odunze gives you that upside that you always chase with rookies. It's funny because with rookies, with the Travis Hunters of the world, with the rookies, we always want the upside. But once they pass their rookie season, it's like, oh, we don't believe in them guys no more. Nah, they weren't a wide receiver one last year. We don't need them. And we saw with JSN what can happen. We saw with JSN that can change very quickly. So Rome Odunze on my radar as a sleeper. Next up, Justin Fields. Jay Fields. JF5 is what they call him in New York. New quarterback for the New York Jets. And we talked about it, right? Offense coordinator for the Detroit Lions, the offensive passing game coordinator is now the offensive coordinator for the New York Jets. And Justin Fields, I mean, when Justin Fields plays, he's a top 5 to 7 quarterback. Like, per game basis, it's just about him staying healthy and actually being the starter. But when he plays and he has weapons, he's a top 5 guy. Like, I have no problem ranking him as a top 5 to 7 quarterback on any given week, just with the rushing upside. You talk about a different offense now. This isn't going to be that Steelers ground and pound game. He's going to be going to a team that does like to throw the football a lot more. You get a premier receiver in Garrett Wilson, and we saw what he did with DJ Moore. Now you get Garrett Wilson, right? We talk about Mason Taylor giving him another weapon in the passing game. Plus, you have 2 really good backs there, Breece Hall and Braylon Allen. And I could see a little bit of like thunder and lightning, the Jahmyr Gibbs, Sonic and Knuckles thing, him and David Montgomery, right? Like Breece Hall and Braylon Allen are going to be a really good combination. Not to mention the offensive line, which did get somewhat improved during the draft, isn't the greatest. So what's Justin Fields going to be doing? Using his legs. And I don't think they're going to hold him back. They signed him to a deal, and it feels like this might be their quarterback of at least the near future. I think they let Justin Fields show what he has. And can't forget he has an arm. Can't forget he will use his legs. So I think a healthy season for Justin Fields, we might be getting Jaden Daniels-esque type value here out of Justin Fields after the first top 12 quarterbacks go. So for me, I think that this is the kind of player I'd want to have on my roster, especially if I drafted a later quarterback. If I drafted, somebody in the back end, I drafted like a Baker Mayfield or, a Brock Purdy or somebody like that, Justin Herbert. This is the perfect type of quarterback to pair with one of those guys for the upside. If you don't believe in Justin Fields, let me know in the comments. But for me, I think Justin Fields is the type of player like you win leagues drafting Justin Fields. I'm pretty sure I said this about Jaden Daniels last year. These are the kind of players you win leagues with because of the upside that they provide. Would it surprise any of us if Justin Fields finishes the top 5 quarterback because of the rushing? I don't think so. I don't think so at all. And he has those spike weeks. So my best ball players, Justin Fields will have a few mega games. All right. Justin Fields, another one of my sleepers, at least early offseason ADP. Kyle Pitts. We doing this again? Are we doing this again with Kyle Pitts? They recently came out and said Kyle Pitts was going to be more involved, which they've said every single year he's been in the league. I know. I'm not drafting Kyle Pitts again. He burned me last year. I've been saying this shit for the last 5 years now when it comes to Kyle Pitts, that I think he will have a bigger role in the offense. But the reason I truly believe this now is because it's not the fact that I think that he's going to be – the reason I believe he's a sleeper right now, it's not for the fact that I think he's going to be a top 5 guy. But I do think there's top 10 potential here on a weekly basis, right? Especially if you're getting him as a tight end too. This value right here, this tight end 19 value is just plummeted his value. It's really just saying, hey, we are never drafting you as a fantasy community. We don't want you on our team anymore. That's what this says. But the potential here, the potential is what you're drafting in that back end tight end 2 numbers. There's no reason for Kyle Pitts to not be on your team. I think there's going to be a point where we're calling him a top 10 tight end yet again. And yeah, he's going to be frustrating. They have obviously mega weapons when you talk about Drake London. Darnell Mooney showed himself really well last year, and then Bijan Robinson is going to be in contention for the number 1 running back in fantasy this year. But this offense with Michael Penix is going to need even more safety valve, right? Like Drake London had a big year, but we know defenses are going to start to adjust. And if Kyle Pitts doesn't figure things out, A, he's not going to have a long career, but B, this offense won't be able to move the same way that they needed to with Michael Penix at quarterback and give their young second-year player a chance to develop. So I think Kyle Pitts, whether I don't want to draft him as a top 12 tight end, I don't want to rely on him as my guy, but I do want the upside in case things get figured out and he becomes a top 10 tight end option, because we know with Kyle Pitts, the player, there's not a big lack of ceiling. He could be a top 3 tight end. He could be all these things that we wanted him to be when he came into the league, 6'6", ran a 4.40. He could be that. So that potential is there. I don't think you even need to see that in order to get the value you need out of Kyle Pitts. I understand if you don't want to draft him, but I think he's a sleeper going way too late in drafts right now. And then my last sleeper right now, before we get into the players to avoid and I get into the questions right now, is Trevor Lawrence, T-Law. The injuries. He's got to stay on the field. QB 19 is way too low. You add in Travis Hunter. You already have Brian Thomas, who we saw a connection last year. The main sticking point for Trevor Lawrence will be injuries. And if you could stomach that part of it, which I typically can, you know you have a top 12 quarterback with Trevor Lawrence when he's on. He only threw 11 touchdowns last year, which was way lower than anybody expected. But the big thing here that nobody else will want to talk about when it comes to Trevor Lawrence, we're only going to look at all his falters, all the ways he's disappointed us over the years. That's what we'll be looking at, and I don't want to take a chance at him. Liam Cohen changes shit. We saw it with Baker. Liam Cohen will change things. And if you pair that with the fact you go get another elite receiver in Travis Hunter, we know that he already will use his legs. I think this could be a much better situation than people are realizing. Trevor Lawrence, I believe in him. I talked about this with Baker Mayfield a couple years ago. I said, look, I think Baker is draftable. And we're talking about Baker Mayfield right here on this channel, and he ended up being a top 5 or 6 quarterback last year. I don't know if we need Trevor Lawrence to even be that on a weekly basis. But shit, we might be getting a top 10 quarterback for free down here. I mean, I really like Trevor Lawrence, and I think if you're going to wait on a position, quarterback will be a definite position you could wait on. Like Pat Mahomes goes QB7. You got Jordan Love, Drake May, Dak Prescott, Trevor Lawrence. There's a lot of quarterbacks in this middle QB2 range. I recommend waiting, and I think Trevor Lawrence is going to be one of those players that enters the top 10. I know I said it last year, and that's the thing. You got to forgive me if you believed in him last year, and I told you to draft him last year. You got to forgive me. I ain't going to be perfect, but I am doubling down on it. I think he's a good value this year. QB 19, Trevor Lawrence, will go off my board much before that. All right? All right, how y'all feel, man? How y'all feel? You lost me with Kyle Pitts. Listen. Don't log off after seeing Kyle Pitts. I'm going to be honest, it's not the sexiest pick. And you're going to be the person everybody laughs at. Ha, you took Kyle Pitts. But it just gets to a point. There's sometimes rookie tight ends, younger tight ends, we don't see the fruits of their labor until much later in their career. Think about a guy that's in Denver right now, that's been in Jacksonville, that we all wrote off. We all laughed at drafting him. He was a top 10 pick. Evan Ingram. We did the same thing with Evan Ingram. You're drafting Evan Ingram again? Shit, on Fantasy Gods, I went viral for making fun of drafting Evan Ingram at the end of your draft because he was the last tight end there. That was a viral thing for me because we all knew, I don't want to draft Evan Ingram. But what happened? He figured things out, became part of the offense. Things changed, right? It's a different quarterback there. Things are going to be different this year. Teams are going to defend the Falcons differently, right? Same thing, David Njoku. We used to all take David Njoku after the top 12 tight ends and be like, oh, why are you taking David Njoku? He's never going to be anything. And then sure enough, we get a season where he's performing at a top 5 to 7 tight end on a weekly basis. I'll say this. You don't got to believe in Kyle Pitts. And you can say, listen, I'm out on Kyle Pitts. I'm not mad at you, but he's free. It's free talent. And I know it's not the sexiest pick. I understand that completely. But it's free talent. And I will have receipts yet again this year. He was on my miss last year. I'll be willing to bet he's going to be on my hits this year. I'll be willing to bet he's going to be on my hits this year. I'd rather have Kyle Pitts than Dalton Kincaid or Tucker Kraft
or like Jake Ferguson. Give me Kyle Pitts. I'd rather see him over those guys. And if I miss, I miss. Right? Zach Ertz. Like, give me Kyle Pitts over those guys. Like Cade Otton. I don't really want Cade Otton. Give me the upside with Kyle Pitts after I've already taken a Kelsey, a Ingram, a David Njoku, somebody else at the top. Y'all logging off. Y'all can't be logging off after I say Kyle Pitts, man. Thing is, I've never been on the Pitts train, but I think I'm just going to jump on this year and get burned for the experience. You know what? At the end of the day, it's not. The thing is, now it doesn't cost you anything, right? I'll say this. This is one of the things that everybody does, right? You're like, oh, over the last couple of years, this player has burned me, so I'm not drafting him. And we have to look at fantasy on a year-by-year basis as a brand new thing. Like Jerry Jeudy was a pick last year. A lot of people were like, oh, I'm not taking Jerry Jeudy. Jerry Jeudy burned us. And what happened with Jerry Jeudy? He found a home. He found a different situation, a coaching staff that believed in him and gave him opportunity. And I'm not saying every player goes through that, but situations change so fluidly. It's like sometimes you have to really take into account, like things can change and talent will prevail sometimes. It doesn't always prevail, but it will prevail sometimes. And when you have a player like Kyle Pitts, who the team is saying, look, Kyle Pitts is going to do better this year. They want to get him a little bit more involved. Zach Robinson wanted to get him a little bit more involved last year, and they didn't. Sometimes teams go and look at the film and they say, okay, why did we miss the playoffs last year? It's because we didn't have a secondary pass catcher in the middle. We're counting too much on Darnell Mooney and Drake London. We couldn't move the chains a whole lot with Bijan, okay? How do we get him some more running room? It took towards the end of the year to see some of that. Michael Penix, how do we help our rookie out? Process the game faster. So I'm not sure. I'm not saying he's going to be a top 10 guy. I'm just saying I want to bet on him having the upside as my second tight end, or maybe if I'm in a 16-team league, I would rock with him as a starter. Diego, what's good, dog? How you living, bro? How you living, man? I'm the biggest T-Law fan. I don't know why. I've never been. I wasn't really a T-Law fan, like for real football. I'm not a real big T-Law fan. It's just he reminded me of like an elite prospect when he came out. Sometimes, I'll admit, sometimes when there's elite talent, it's tough to move off of that because when they hit, they become megastars. Saquon Barkley, right? A lot of people gave up on Saquon Barkley after the first couple of years. He's injury prone. He's with the Giants. And then we saw what happened last year. He had the mega season. Sometimes it happens. Another player that's going to happen with is Breece Hall. Breece Hall is ranked the RB13 right now. RB13. He was going as the number one pick for a lot of people. But what happened? They believed him and he failed him. So now we're pushing him back, pushing him outside the top 12. Why is Breece Hall going outside of the top 12 running backs? Your guess is as good as mine. After Ashton Jeanty, Breece Hall all of a sudden is just not a good running back now because of a bad season, inconsistent quarterback play last year, changes in the offense. You go and you get Justin Fields, who does help out running backs. You get a new coaching staff in place. A Lions passing game coordinator is there. You lose a weapon in Devontae Adams. It's short-term memory in fantasy is a weird thing because people lean in so much to the narratives that hurt them more than they do the realistic components of football. Breece Hall will be a very nice piece in the second, maybe third round for play. Oh, my Lord. When y'all see me with that Bijan Breece stack, whoo, Lord. And then I'm going to have all the receivers, bro. Oh, my Lord. Jahan, no matter what, I'm rocking with your takes, no matter what. I love to hear that. You know what? At the end of the day, we had a pretty good hit ratio. Did we ever go over your 2024 hot takes? We did. And I hit it like a 56% rate. Let me see if I can find that sheet. We did go over them. There's a TikTok on my page with all my hits and misses. I went over them all, but let me see if I can find that document. Actually, no, I got to stay on track this year. This year, I got to start staying on track a little bit more. I get off track sometimes. I get off track. I got to stay on track. We have potential busts, so I got to hit the potential bust. I don't know if it's this way or this way. Got to hit the potential bust, though. Got to hit it.
All right, potential busts. All right. I got to start off with one that's probably going to piss y'all off. That's what I do best, right? Piss y'all off. I got to do one that's probably going to piss some people off. But when I look at a player like Bucky Irving, who had a really nice season last year, especially kind of came in, surprised a lot of people, was a fantasy football darling, right? I have a lot of concerns about taking a guy who doesn't catch a ton of passes, still sort of in a committee on a team that really wants to throw the football. I have some concerns about Bucky going this high. I think if he was like RB13, RB12, RB13, I'd probably be a lot more inclined to draft him. But to take Bucky Irving as one of your cornerstone, probably your first running back off the board, I don't know about that. I feel like that's not where I would go. That's not the direction I would head. Right now, Bucky Irving is going over players like Breece Hall, Kyron Williams, He's going over Joe Mixon, Alvin Kamara. Like, to me, I just think there's a lot more risk built in with a guy like Bucky Irving, that he has a sophomore slump, that teams kind of figure something out on him on tape. He surprised everybody to start the season and then finished really strong. And I like the kid. I think he has good potential. My concern is that you're taking him like a round or two earlier than like some really good names. And I think at this spot here, you can get the similar type of upside with a Breece Hall, with a Kyron Williams. You can find that just like 5 picks later. So for me, I have a lot of like concern about people who want to take Bucky Irving in the second round. I mean, Christian McCaffrey is probably going to be going around this range once the draft starts. I think this range, when you talk about running backs that I'm looking to avoid, it's going to be these back-end RB1s that are somehow finding their place a little bit too high in their rankings, in my opinion. He's going over Jonathan Taylor, who had a really strong finish to the year. So I'll be very cautious about Bucky Irving. I know that's going to piss a lot of people off. But for me, I'm out on Bucky Irving. Another running back end of the top 10. Like I said, I think this is going to be kind of landmine-ish area. Ashton Jeanty is going as the running back 7 right now. Did we not learn last year from Bijan Robinson? Did we not? I told you guys last year, Bijan Robinson, I was concerned about him just going too high. Ashton Jeanty, somebody's going to take him in the first round of whatever draft you're in. They're going to hear the Marshawn Lynch comparisons. Pete Carroll is the head coach now. Beast mode port 2, like Ashton Jeanty. You can't tackle him. I hear you. And I fully support Ashton Jeanty being an elite running back in the game at some point. Chip Kelly ran the football at the highest pace. He's the new offensive coordinator for the Raiders. Ran at one of the highest paces you'll see in the NFL. He's with the Eagles and with the Niners. I get it. They're going to feed Ashton Jeanty the ball. But what kind of season are we expecting? And unless he catches, 40 passes, I think we're looking at like a 1,200-yard, 1,300-yard back with like 8 touchdowns, which I think is great. But and maybe that puts him like back in RB1. But I also think that that's like an incredible season for Ashton Jeanty next year. I think if you finish with 275 carries, 8 touchdowns, we're talking like 25 catches in the passing game. I think we'll look at Ashton Jeanty and be like, damn, he had a really good season. He should probably do better than next season. So I know there's always a rookie running back who finishes in the top 10, and you get really good draft capital on him. It's just I get concerned that this price is a little too high over some more established names. Like I said, you can get Jonathan Taylor, who's going RB10 after him, and I think Jonathan Taylor is going to have a much better season, has much better potential, I'll say, than Ashton Jeanty. Could Ashton Jeanty finish as the top 5 back? He could. I think you're drafting him there. You're drafting him at RB7 right now. Just doesn't give you a whole lot of wiggle room for error. So I think there's a world where Ashton Jeanty struggles for a little bit. I think there's a world where this Raiders just Raiders offense in general maybe isn't up to speed, right? Isn't the best offense in the world. So I can see the Raiders being the reason why Jeanty's not that yet. Not yet. He will be elite one day. I think Jeanty will be elite. But for now, I think it's a little too early for Ashton Jeanty. Next up, JSN. I was on JSN last year. This year, the price is too high. Sam Darnold in now, and obviously with the new offense coordinator, Clint Kubiak, the Seattle offense is going to look a lot different than it did last year. And I like Clint Kubiak. I think him as a coordinator is going to be a very good thing for the Seattle passing game. But I also think when it comes to JSN, you got to take him so early now. They also signed Cooper Kupp, who's going to be a bigger part of this offense than people think he will be. And I know this run game, right? We saw what it was for the Saints. The run game is very important. Alvin Kamara, a big component to that. Kenneth Walker should see his value go up as well this year. But I think when it comes to JSN, everybody, we're seeing the trade of DK Metcalf. The targets look like they're going to be there for him, right? This massive opening of targets with DK gone. Tyler Lockett is now in a Tennessee Titans uniform. But he will have to share targets with Cooper Kupp. Make no mistake about it. Team didn't sign him to a 3-year deal, upwards of close to $20 million a year to not get him the football as well. So I really like JSN. He kind of profiles as like what Chris Olave was to me, like a wide receiver 15-ish type play. And I think you're going to have to take JSN at a very high rate this year. And when you're going to be taking him over some bigger names in the fantasy world, like at the receiver position. I talked about Devontae Adams going as like the wide receiver, 18 he's going at. You're going to have to take JSN over Devontae Adams. You're going to have to take JSN over a Garrett Wilson. You have to take JSN over Terry McLaurin, who was really good last year. So while I think JSN is going to be a good football player in real life and probably have a good season yet again, I think taking him at wide receiver 11 for fantasy, way too early. Ain't no way I'm taking him that early. I love the offense, love the setup. But with Darnold at quarterback, I have some concerns about JSN at wide receiver 11. All right, last two, and then I will get into Q&A. Avoid Puka Nacua. Uh-oh. He's going as a top 3 guy right now. I've seen him as high as 2. I've seen him as low as like 5 or 6. But Puka Nacua, it's ceiling time for him. With Devontae Adams there, how are we feeling about this? Because Devontae will open things up. And I don't think this is a clear wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2. I said that with Cooper Kupp as well. So you can choose to believe that or not. But I think you signed Devontae Adams to be a wide receiver 1B. And he's going to be playing that DeMarcus Robinson spot, which is a really nice spot for him. I don't think they play him out the slot. I think Devontae's going to have a really strong season. I think it's tough to have 2 wide receivers that are like top 10 guys, especially one of them that's a top 3 guy. Now, I think Nacua will be a good – I like him better in like the wide receiver 5, 6, or 7 spot. But there's also other receivers, CeeDee Lamb, Tyreek Hill, Malik Neighbors, Brian Thomas. There's guys with similar upside that I don't know if you have to take Puka Nacua here. I don't. And he won't be hurt this year, and I think he'll play well. It's just wide receiver 3 is heavy. Obviously, you got Jamar Chase, Jettas at the top there. I think Puka Nacua, this could be a bias thing, right? I haven't been on Puka Nacua's first 2 years. This could be a bias thing. I'd like to think my bias is out of it. This seems like an extremely pricey spot for a guy that's going to have to split a workload, also as a running back that does take a lot of touchdown volume away. So you can take it with a grain of salt if you've been on the channel before and you've seen me talk about Puka Nacua, but I think this is a little too high. I think a CeeDee Lamb pick is a much better pick. St. Brown is in the similar range, and you don't have to take him as high. So I'd be concerned about taking Puka Nacua wide receiver 3 just a little early for my liking. Last one. Uh-oh. Did I say it? Jamar Chase. Now, this is going to be controversial, obviously, because Jamar Chase is, it's probably the sexiest pick in the number 1 spot, right? You get a receiver in PPR leagues. You also get elite upside any given week. And I think when it comes to best ball, Jamar Chase is the guy you want to have, right? But I think we forget sometimes what Jamar Chase tends to do in any given season. Chase typically is a big spike week guy. Like last year, I'm pulling up the stats right now. Last year I want to say he had 2 games over 50 fantasy points, which really carried his value, right? Let me pull these numbers up while I'm going over so y'all don't think I'm crazy. So y'all don't think I'm crazy. Just so y'all don't think I'm crazy. But Ja'Marr Chase last year, towards the end of the season, he had a monster stretch where he had a 50-point game and a 41-point game, right? He had two 40-point games and a 50-point game. He played well, and I'm not saying that he's not elite or worth the spot. I think it's just a little bit of a reach to take him number one, especially with T. Higgins getting his bag. Ja'Marr Chase got his bag. Like, I think this is going to be one of those picks where we look at it and like, damn, everything went perfect for Ja'Marr Chase last year. I don't know if it happens again. This is one of those forward-thinking picks because at the number one spot, there's no guarantee, right? You take him, you take Saquon, who was the RB1. It's like, okay, I know Saquon didn't get hurt last year. There might be some injury risk. Bijan, we've never seen it before from Bijan Robinson. He could take that next level up. You could say, Justin Jefferson, now J.J. McCarthy's there, has the upside. Like, there's a lot of potential here for this number one overall spot. I think Ja'Marr Chase is an okay pick. Me personally, I'm avoiding him at this number one spot. I kind of like a bounce back ever from Justin Jefferson, CeeDee Lamb, somebody like that. And it's more of a hunch thing. I'll be honest with you. Like, it's a hunch thing when it comes to Ja'Marr Chase. I think he can get back there. It's tough for guys to do number one receiver back to back in multiple seasons. So, the volume is there, had 175 targets last year. It's just 17 touchdowns. I carried so much of his value last year. Tough to say it, but that's the player. If I'm going to go with the player that I'm kind of avoiding right now at the top, I like Bijan, who had a very strong finish this season last year. I like Bijan a lot at the number one spot, but I liked him last year, and I've seen a couple people on Bijan, which has me a little concerned. I'm not going to lie. Whenever I see other analysts on my shit, has me concerned. Has me concerned. Bijan and Breece is crazy. Oh, before I get into that, I got one last thing for y'all. Who's the J-Hand player this year that I'm getting in every single draft as of right now, as of May 6th? Take a guess. I want to see some of y'all guesses right now. If y'all have a guess right now, put it in the comments. Who is the player you think – it's a receiver. Who is the player you think I'm getting in every single draft I can? Every single draft. Go ahead and guess. Take a few guesses. I want a couple guesses beforehand. Bijan and Breece is crazy. I think this is a very realistic combo, especially at the top of the first round in the Snakes. Top of the third round, Breece is probably going to be there. Breece is probably going to be there. No, not Bucky. He was great last year. And that's the tough part, right? It's tough because in redraft, every year is a brand new year. And the one thing that people, because of Dynasty, the one thing is that people tend to hold on to last year's values. And I think it raises a lot of the ADPs. Like rookies are starting to go a lot earlier. And then also, like I said, players who perform well, young players, they tend to go a little higher than they should after a strong year. So, I don't know. I like Bucky Irving, but I think RB8 is just too rich for my blood. Brian Thomas, it's a good pick. It's not Brian Thomas. Who you guys think is the receiver that I'm targeting in all my drafts? He's still going in the back end of the first round, so I like BTJ a lot. And I think he has a lot of upside, and I would love to get him as my number one receiver, but not quite. Devontae motherfucking Adams. Listen, I love Devontae Adams, and he will for sure be on a lot of the sleeper lists you see. We know he will be on a lot of my sleeper lists. It is not Devontae Adams, though. That's not the – I might have him on every team, but that's not the player I'm talking about. Adams, I don't know. Najee, no. It's a receiver. It's a receiver. It's not Najee. It's not Najee. Not Najee. And I'm probably going to stay away from Najee this year. Unfortunately. Tay, we're going to get Tay. We're going to get Tay, but that's not the pick. CD. I love CeeDee Lamb this year, but you may not have that first pick, right? There's one player that I'm going to get in every single draft, and he's going to finish as the top 12 guy this year. You see it. Marvin Harrison will be a top 12 receiver this year. And we go back to it. No, I drafted him in the first round. He was a first-round pick last year in fantasy drafts. People were taking Marvin Harrison in the first round. Now, all of a sudden, Marvin Harrison is ranked wide receiver 23. Wide receiver 23 on a team that for sure did not draft him to be the secondary behind Trey McBride. They for sure did not. Marvin Harrison is going to have the ascension that we were looking for. The spots that we saw last year, I guarantee him and Kyler Murray are going to figure out a way to make that work with Trey McBride. Now, if you're the Cardinals organization, why you sell all these Marvin Harrison jerseys? Why you take an elite generational prospect at the receiver position not to feature him? There's a reason for that. You have to have a ramp-up period. You have another player that's elite in Trey McBride. And if defenses are going to give that to you, you got to honor it. But there's a learning curve for receivers, and I think the expectation for the fantasy community is that talent always comes in and is elite. And if they're not Jamar Chase their rookie year, if they're not Justin Jefferson their rookie year, then they're a failure. We write them off way too quickly. I think Marvin Harrison is due for a mega season. I like him as like wide receiver 23. If I'm building out my team right now, somebody asked me about roster construction early on. If I'm building out my team right now, and somehow I can get like a Bijan Robinson early, a Breece Hall early, right? Like as my two backs, a Jonathan Taylor or instead of Breece Hall. If I can get two of those backs, and then I can start to pare down and get like a Malik Neighbors type upside, a Brian Thomas Jr. upside, with the safety net of like Devontae Adams and Marvin Harrison. Brother, these teams are going to be crazy next year. When we do some of these mock drafts, these teams are going to be absolutely insane. Everybody else is going to go for like, their teams are going to look like Bucky Irving and JSN and Ashton Jeanty. Meanwhile, our teams are going to be fucking stacked. Watch. Just watch how this plays out. Y'all already know, man. Y'all already know how we do it. Man. Let me know what y'all think. Marvin Harrison. Marvin's going to be my guy. You know ball. Marv, unless it creeps up to like top 15 range, Marv is going to be on every team I have. Wow, I like this call. Someone clip it. Listen, hey, I got something for y'all too. If you guys ever clip up something and put it on your page, tag me in it. And I'll start either stitching it or something like that. You know how they do like with the streamers, they clip shit. Y'all can stream whatever you want. Anything I say, y'all can clip it up and I'll interact with it. All right. So y'all can clip it up. I'm gonna change the game this year, bro. We're gonna be doing things a little bit differently. So clip it up. If you saw something from here you like, the Marv clip, even a bad thing, right? Even if you want to shit on me for a little bit, I don't care. But clip it up. Clip it up, bro. Clip it up. You shit might go viral. Just be real. I got multiple pages. You know what I'm saying? Like I got fantasy football training camp page. We got the J-Head fantasy page coming. We got my own personal page. So all those are going to have my face on them. I've been on multiple other pages. You see me on some of these brands that use my face. So if you ever want to use it, go ahead and use it. I have no problem with you, good or bad. Y'all can make it funny, whatever it is. Remix it. I don't care. I like that take, J-Head. I can see Marv break out next year. It's going to happen. Marvin Harrison is going to break out next year. And everybody that draft, it's the same shit I said about Bijan last year. And what's going to happen is there will be some point in the season where Marv has a bad stretch of games, and then he figures it out. It'll be the same thing that happened with Bijan last year. It's classic. And next year it's going to be Ashton Jeanty. The fantasy community tends to get burned and then penalize players a little bit more than they should. It's just nature. I'm never drafting him again. Oh, I took that guy first round last year, and he did me dirty. So Breece Hall, we're looking at Breece Hall outside of the top 10 running backs. Breece Hall. So Marv, for me, Marv is easy. That's an easy one. JSN was like that last year, right? We took a lot of JSN in our drafts because what happened? The first year he came out, everybody was like, oh, JSN, he's a massive disappointment. What were we talking about here? Draft JSN. He's going to rebound. He's going to have and now he rebounded. Every year we got to change. And it can't be we fall in love with players. Fall in love with the value. This is why we rock with you, J-Dog. Teams are about to go crazy this year. When we do some mocks, I'll probably do a mock next week. When we start doing mock drafts, you guys are going to be like, yo, the rankings are out of whack. The value is crazy. Like Travis Etienne, for whatever reason, is going outside of the top 30 running backs. Top 30? I just don't see a world where he's not a top 30 back. I'm iffy on Kyler, my only problem. I think that's a fair assessment to say like you're iffy on Kyler. He's not a volume passer, but I think Kyler is adequate enough. And I think Marvin Harrison, with another year down, like you got to think, players don't stay the same. Players can take the offseason and get better. You never know what they're going through their rookie year. I think Marv was late to camp last year. Like, I think because of his contract, didn't sign his contract for a while. So you never know what's on their mind. You never know what they want. And Marvin Harrison, through and through, has proved he's elite as they come. He was already compared to all the elite prospects. Now, it could be one of those things where we get a Trevor Lawrence, right? And Trevor Lawrence, and, he never pans out. But I'm willing to bet on a player of Marvin's caliber outside of the top 20 receivers. If I get burned by Marvin Harrison, that happens. It's kind of like Kyle Pitts. I'll take the L with a Kyle Pitts. I'll take the L with the Marvin Harrison. I'll take the L with the generational prospect going way outside of their ceiling for the floor. And if you miss, you miss. Because if Marvin Harrison hits, we're talking about him as Brian Thomas Jr. We're talking about him as Malik Neighbors. You get what I'm saying? In a draft full of elite receivers, Ladd McConkey last year, Marv is the one that didn't pan out. And that's the one that was drafted above them all. The one that was the prospect, better prospect than them all. With a good quarterback. Is there a chance he figures it out? I'm willing to bet on that. And if we can get top 12 production out of him at wide receiver 33, I'm all for it. There's zero chance. Like, unless I just get sniped, I'm probably walking out with Marvin Harrison in a lot of drafts. I'm almost willing to take him as like my wide receiver too. That's where I'm at. And in your home drafts, you're going to get Harrison. Like if I had a dynasty, if I'm in dynasty and my league, maybe I had somebody that was kind of iffy on Marv, I'm throwing out whatever I can get Marv for right now. Whatever I can to go get Marv. I think Marv ends up being a top 10 receiver like the rest of his, at least the rest of his career. He's going to be that. I also see a world where he doesn't. I don't think he's a bust. I don't think he's mid-tier. Like, unless you think Marv is just going to be mid, or like you said, if it's a Kyler thing, if you think it's just Kyler or you think Marv is mid, why wouldn't you take the upside with Marv? I mean, there was points in last season where I was ranking him inside my top 15 last year. Marv finished as the wide receiver. He finished as a wide receiver 30 last year. Yeah, I'm getting Marv, bro. I'm getting Marv this year. Another underrated pick would be Trey Benson. Connor is old and always gets hurt. They did not add anyone in this loaded draft class. The only thing I'll say about that is that I still think it's kind of a lightning and thunder type relationship. I think James Conner has to lose the role. I like how they used Trey Benson a little bit last year. He kind of got phased out towards the end of the year. But if Connor's still playing well, it could have just been one of those things where they picked Trey Benson because they thought they were going to need him earlier. I just don't know that Trey Benson overtakes Connor this year. I liked Trey Benson a lot last year. I liked what I saw out of him. It's just James Conner's playing well. So if you're the Cardinals, why change that? I thought at some point Trey Benson was going to take over. It never happened. Connor played well. And I think Connor's probably on that list of players to avoid. I think he's ranked in the top 20 right now. But for me, I don't know, Trey Benson. He's a great like late flyer, like best ball, I would say, is where he's probably more valued than like redraft. Because in redraft, if he doesn't hit week 1 or 2, he's one of the first cuts you're going to make. So I wouldn't draft Trey Benson. But like in best ball, I could see getting Trey Benson late and that potentially being like a guy in week 15, 16 that like dominates for you. So I think when it comes to Trey Benson, I think he had a decent season last year, but I think you still have to worry about James Conner so much in redraft that it's not worth drafting him, if that makes sense. In best ball, he could be like league winner type though. Rack up the like, support the channel. Y'all hit the like button, man. Y'all gonna see these videos. I'm gonna clip these up. So if you guys see the videos and they're like in a little shorter form, you guys will see them again. Show some. Listen, I'm gonna add right now. I'm gonna give away 2 spots to fantasy football training camp. I got limited tickets I could give out, but I want to give out some for free. Drop. Let's see. I'm trying to figure out a way to do this. I don't have that. I used to have that randomizer. I don't have it hooked up anymore. Let me see. Texas T, you get one. You've been a member this whole time. Texas T, you gotta get a spot. Texas T, you are invited. You've been a member this entire time. Any other members on here right now? Texas T, Diego, you still here? Diego, if you still here, you get the last spot. Texas T, you get the first. You get a spot right now, and then Diego, you get the last one. Y'all been rocking with the membership, even though I haven't been posting content. Y'all are still members, man. So much love to y'all. Y'all got free spots. Comes with the draft guide and a ticket. So I'm giving out the draft guide with any ticket purchase. You get the draft guide this year. So fantasy football training camp will have my draft guide. It's just going to be packaged as something else. Packaged as fantasy football training camp, but it'll be my draft guide. So congratulations, you got that. Diego, you still here? Texas T, you still here? Hit my DMs. Both of you guys, if you still here, hit my DMs on Twitter. All right. How you feel about Diggs since he signed with my Pats? I feel really good about Stephon Diggs, and obviously the team needed a number one. Right? And they're probably gonna get rid of Kendrick Bourne. You had a couple guys last year, Jalen Polk, Javon Baker. They didn't really pan out the way that the team thought. But I think this gives Drake May another target that he can have that's open and available on a regular basis. And I think we see Diggs really come back. Now, the problem is, he's coming back kind of early from his ACL. When do we see him on the field? When do we see Stephon Diggs on the field? I think is the big question mark. He looked good with the Texans last year, was putting up, top 15 numbers. And I think he's going outside like the top 40 receivers. It really comes down to when does he see the field? If he's available in the by week 1, I think he's going to smash all ADP expectations out the window. I think he'll finish as the top 24 guy at floor. I think if he comes back like week 6, week 7, like they put on a PUP, maybe he's week 4 to week 7, I think he's probably going to be slower to ramp up, a little slower throughout the year. I want to see him week 1. And I think if he's there week 1, I'm buying. If we hear PUP for Stephon Diggs, maybe I'll take him as like a wide receiver 5, somebody I can put on the IR spot. But I think real value-wise, he's going to help out Drake May a lot. And I think that this team needs a receiver. They need a playmaker. So I think it's a good spot for him, a really good spot to bounce back. Play with another Josh Allen-esque type quarterback and Drake May, strong arm guy that can get him the ball. But then also, there's no competition for targets. Last time we seen Stephon Diggs as a wide receiver 1, he didn't have a whole lot of competition for targets in Buffalo. Last year with Nico Collins, Tank Dell at times, and Joe Mixon even, he was fighting for targets a whole lot. So I think Diggs, if we can get him to 120, 130 targets, could be a steal. Any other rookies you think will be instant starters other than Jeanty? Good question. Very good question. I think Caleb Johnson will be a starter this year for Pittsburgh Steelers running back. I think he'll be a starter, but it'll be flip-flopped. Jalen Warren will start the year as the presumed starter, but I think we see him overtake that towards the end of the year. And I think Caleb Johnson's in a really good role. I didn't like where he was being mocked at early on. It was a little high, but I think the Pittsburgh spot is perfect for him. I think Hampton will be the starter by the end of the year. It'll probably be a split committee, and I'm not wanting to bet on it with Najee there. The team signed him. I think at the receiver position, Ted McMillan for Carolina will be an instant starter. And he'll probably do a lot of what Leggett already does, but I like McMillan as the piece for them. Travis Hunter is an instant starter, obviously. I think all 3 of the top tight ends are instant starters. Mason Taylor, Colston Loveland, and Tyler Warren, all instant starters. I think obviously like Matthew Golden's going to be instant starter. Luther Burden's going to start in the slot, but he'll probably be 3rd on the depth chart. I know I'm missing some people right now. That's just off the top of my head, though. Oh, RJ Harvey is going to start for Denver for sure. He's going to be a starter. play really well there. I think it'll be that was a good pick for them. They kind of reached for him, but that was a good pick for them. Jahan, I got to get one. We Laker fans, we got to stick together. We got to stick together. Support your boy. Get a ticket. Now, I'll try to give out more over the next few weeks. I'll probably give them out for the rest of this month, just on a random basis. But Diego, you got one coming, and Texas T, you got one coming. Hit me in the DMs. But yeah, I'll give a lot more out. Like I said, y'all always show me support, especially y'all here in the chat with me right now. I'm going to show you guys support. A couple things I want from you guys, though, and especially if you want a ticket for free or at a significant discount, here are ways you can support. Run up the comments on any of my videos you guys see, YouTube, even if it's just some support or like you showing some love. Run up the comments on my videos. Throw 2 or 3 comments in that motherfucker if you got to. Go to Fantasy Football Training Camp. Like the page. Comment on the page. It's FFTC Camp or FFT Camp. Go to those pages on TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter. Run those up for me. That's the way y'all can show support. I'll give out more tickets. I can give out more tickets this month. It's just I got to see some support coming in. Y'all support me, I'm going to support you. We got to stick together, just like you said, all right? I got you, Texas T. Like I said, hit me on the DMs. Hit me a DM on Twitter. And then Diego, you too. Diego, hopefully you watch this back, bro. I got you on a ticket. Might be early, but thoughts on the 26th class for Dynasty? Yeah, bro. I've heard it's super weak, but yes, it's a little too early for me. I'm not going to talk the 26th class right now, man. Too early for me. I just got through doing a big overhaul on the 25 class. If you're looking for a sleeper receiver too, that you can get like the 3rd, 4th round of your rookie drafts, Pat Taylor. I really like the setup. Sean Payton came out and said that they think he's going to be – he compares him to his Michael Thomas for the Saints. So I think right now if you can get a guy that maybe sees that role after Cortland Sutton's gone, sees a higher volume role, I like the way when you hear that term, you hear like, hey, Michael Thomas, you know what he did with Michael Thomas. I like that a lot. So Michael Thomas or Pat Taylor is a player that I like. How much are the tickets? They're $100. $100 for tickets. I'm gonna have some NFL guys there. We got some analysts, ton of analysts there. It's gonna be a 2-day event, and it comes with the draft guide. Right now, I got them 50% off though. They're $49, and then if you use the code JHEN, you get $10 off. So it's like $39. Comes with the draft guide and tickets to the event. So, and then I'm doing for the first, anybody that purchased it before June 1st, we're testing the idea out. So don't hold me to it. But we're planning on running a mini camp, which is going to be like a 3-hour event for free. You'll get that for free. So you'll get the free mini camp, you'll get the draft guide, and you'll get the $10 discount if you use code JHEN. All right. So trying to get the day ones who are rocking with my shit right now. I'm trying to load y'all up. If you were going to buy the draft guide from me, it would have been $40 anyway this year. So I'm trying to give y'all like the plug, the super plug beforehand. Mini camp, I'll be live on there answering questions. I'll have some other analysts with me. And then the training camp is going to be like this big virtual affair. I'm going to have, like I said, a lot of shit going on. I've been working my connections, man. We're going to have one of the biggest events, probably the biggest event in this space when it's all said and done. So go ahead and get your tickets now. Now's the time to do it, all right? Any more questions before I get off, man? Listen, y'all been asking how I'm doing. Y'all notice? I'm down like 35, 40 pounds, y'all. Y'all notice it or not? Can y'all tell on the camera? I noticed that the camera makes you look 15 pounds heavier, but can y'all tell? Your boy been on a grind, losing some weight, trying to get right. Y'all notice it or not? Can you tell on camera or not? Be real. Say not. If it's not, say not. If it's yes, say yeah. Boy been eating right, getting a little workout on, trying to get right for this year, man. Trying to get right. Y'all notice it or not? Hi, Slim J-Han, I see it. Yeah, I've been, you know what I'm saying? Trying to get back to my the picture I'll be using on TikTok and Instagram, my profile picture. I'm like 10 pounds away from that weight. So I'm trying to get back. Trying to get it back, bro. Thoughts on J.K. Dobbins? Did he sign somewhere or is he still unsigned? I'm not in on J.K. Dobbins. I hope he gets another opportunity, though, but chances are it's going to be as a backup somewhere. Did he sign? They're talking about the Bears. I just searched it right now. They're talking about the Bears. I don't know. I don't know if I don't think that's a great fit just because it'll be a crowded backfield, but he's got to go somewhere. He earned a contract, and it's surprising to see him not signed yet. I wonder how much he was asking for or what kind of terms he was looking for, but I think the Bears would be a decent fit. He's probably going to have to take a pay cut, even though he performed well last year. I don't think he even cracked 1,000 yards, to be real, because he was banged up for a little bit, but I don't think he even cracked 1,000 yards. Even as good of a season as he had, I don't think he even cracked 1,000. Slim Jahan, I see it. No cap. Yes, sir. All cap. Look slimmer back. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? I've been trying to put some work in, so hopefully by the time season starts, I'm in a little bit even better shape. Even better shape. He is a Charger if he does not get re-signed. I don't know. You think they go there? I don't see a world where he goes back there now. You got Najee. You got Amarion Hampton. There's really no need for him anymore. Gus Edwards is probably out the league. I don't know. So J.K. Dobbins, man, good back. I can see like a team. I can see a team like bringing him on to like challenge a backup, like maybe like Houston, challenging Dameon Pierce if they decide to part ways with him. I can see like the Giants, maybe they get rid of like Devin Singletary. They're tired of him. They got Scatterboo and, they got Tyrone Tracy from last year. So I think he'll get another opportunity somewhere. It's just where. There's not a lot of like running back rooms that are just open. Maybe he goes to like Las Vegas and backs up Jeanty. So he's probably trying to decide like what starting opportunities are there, or like if somebody gets hurt, I think that's a way. But JK, man, I don't know. I don't really see a big need for him, or like I don't think fantasy wise he's not relevant to me. Take on Javonte Williams. I did not put him on this in this episode, but he is a sleeper of mine. I think Javonte Williams has a ton of potential this year if he wins the starting spot, right? It's him. They drafted Jadon Blue, and then obviously like Miles Sanders signed there too. So I think he's got to win the starting spot. It was great to see them add like not a number 1 or 2 pick at the running back position. They added, kind of a later round guy. And I think that Javonte Williams has every opportunity, another year removed from the ACL injury. It probably with a lot to prove. And the line isn't going to be that good, so he might struggle. But I think Javonte Williams, for fantasy purposes, could be like in sleeper territory. He's going to be a starting running back, which is like his main saving grace. Depends on how Dak plays when he returns, if this offense can get moving. And overall, I think it depends on him, man. If he can catch the football and he has control of the running back room, could be a dangerous scenario for him, man. He could outperform what we're thinking. I think his ceiling is like top 24 running back. I think his floor is like he's a backup by the end of the year, though. They put a tag on him. No, it's already past free agency. J.K. Dobbins cannot be tagged. He is a free agent. So anyway, y'all gonna see, like I said, y'all gonna see some of these videos. Make sure y'all show the page some love, show the comment section some love, show the fantasy football training camp some love. And I will see you guys very soon. Very, very soon. Peace out.